listening to the Friday Five here on the Agent Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and this is our weekly recap for insurance agents. Vacation season has come to an end for me. We are now in the stages of prepping for another school year on the home front. And here on the ASG podcast and at Ritter Insurance Marketing, AEP prep is in full swing. The countdown has begun, just 67 days until the start of the 2026 annual enrollment period. And coming in at number 5, a quick reminder about our upcoming summits. We tend to refer to them in-house as our summer summits. The first of those events kicks off on Wednesday, August 20th in Western New York. That is a new location for this year. Also new, Central New York will be there on Thursday, August 21st. Our hometown Harrisburg, PA summit is the following week on Tuesday, August 26th. We're in Philly on Thursday, September 4th. New Jersey is Tuesday, September 9th. New York is Wednesday, September 10th. Florida is on Thursday, September 11th. And then we wrap it all up on Tuesday, September 16th in Ohio. Ritter Summits are open for all insurance agents to attend. If you're an agent selling in the Mid-Atlantic region, they are especially relevant market-wise, but there is something for every agent to learn. Whether you're starting out in the industry and this is your very first AEP, or if it's your 10th AEP, you will hear from the leading carriers in your market, learn about 2026 plans, and so much more. Go to summits.ritterim.com to find the summit near you, check out the day's agenda, and get registered. That is summits.ritterim.com. And that link will also be posted in our episode notes. Number 4, Linda Yaccarino recently left her role as CEO of X, formerly known as Twitter. The next stop on her career path, eMed Population Health, where she will again serve as Chief Executive Officer. eMed recently pivoted from a tech platform offering at-home COVID-19 testing guidance to the GLP-1 space. According to the press release announcing her hire, eMed Population Health aims, quote, to provide safe, structured, and results-driven access to life-changing therapies that are making significant impact on population health outcomes, end quote. eMed services include remote diagnostics, prescriptions, education, and coaching for its users. Interesting pivot for Yaccarino, still in the tech world, but now with a focus on health. In that same press release, she commented, quote, "The healthcare industry has been disrupted by technology, but not yet completely transformed by it. There is an opportunity to combine technology, lifestyle, and data in a new powerful way through the digital channels that impact consumers directly in ways that have never been done before," end quote. Number 3, the public beta version of iOS 26 and iPadOS 26 were released on July 23rd. And while I was on vacation last week, I got to take it for a proper test drive on my iPad. One of the biggest features I was looking forward to, the windowing function that in theory would allow my iPad Air to function like a laptop in addition to a tablet. After that feature was announced, I went to Amazon and picked up a portfolio case that included a Bluetooth keyboard. And so far, I'm really liking the functionality that system and setup bring. It does make the iPad feel more like a laptop, and it is much easier to write content with a separate keyboard. The windowing function lets me easily flick, move, and resize windows. It's a little different than working on a Mac. You do have to tap on the window to bring up the windowing functionality, but I did get used to it pretty quickly. Little bit of a learning curve, but not too bad. Now, when I downloaded the iPadOS 26 beta, I was not sure if the new apps would be included, so I was happily surprised to see that the Journal app came along for the ride. While I love the idea of the Journal app on the iPhone for portability's sake, I feel like it makes much more sense for it to exist on the iPad. On a bigger screen, Journal has the feel of a blogging app, which I really enjoyed. I could see ex-bloggers getting a lot of satisfaction out of the design. Current bloggers could easily use it as a notebook of sorts to draft and workshop posts. And then, of course, anyone who just wants to document their day and include pictures and drawings, Journal for iPad definitely elevates the app experience. Another feature that came in the beta round that insurance agents should be aware of: call screening. This is going to be a great feature for getting rid of spam calls, but it is not turned on by default. Users still have to go in and enable the feature on their devices. Now, I think it's a bit early to tell if it's going to bring immediate change to our industry and what the impact will be. I did recently read a piece from Colin Cadmus, and he suggests insurance agents continue testing and tweaking their phone communications, especially when the official version of iOS 26 releases. We will be linking to that article in the episode notes so you can check it out for yourself. Now, I can't talk about this beta version and not mention liquid glass. Even if it isn't in its final formation, it looks really cool on my device. Very sleek, very futuristic. I've changed my home screen app icons to be tinted, so they're all the same color. That matches the wallpaper. It is a very clean-cut look. And I keep my devices in dark mode, so I wasn't sure if I'd be able to use the new clear icon settings. But developers made both a light and dark version, and the dark version looks just as good as the light one, which is not always the case. I did go through and organize my apps into folders, so between that and the streamlined look of the clear icons, I am really enjoying the way my screen looks. Other than that, I'm also enjoying the rounded corners and minimalized user interface controls. And I also like the change in how apps look when you open them. Previously, they popped up from the center of the device and opened out to the edges of the screen. Now, each app has more of a fluid movement, opening out of the app onto the screen like a page or a piece of paper. Seemingly small change, but super thoughtful design. So far, my iPad is still my testing device. I have not had the guts to download it on my phone. I had a bad experience with a previous beta that bricked my iPhone and sent a few hundred photos into the cloud for about 5 years before they suddenly appeared on a device again. Your mileage may vary, but I am not trying for a repeat of that event. The full non-beta version of iOS 26 and iPadOS 26 should be out in a little more than a month. Last year, iOS 18 launched on Monday, September 16th. So should Apple follow the same schedule this year, that would put the release on September 15th. So we should get some info on that coming up in the next few weeks. Number 2, Instagram announced 3 new features this week, all geared toward making connections on the platform. And depending on how you use Instagram, I think that will gauge your excitement or disdain for these features. The feature that's been leading the headlines is the Instagram map. If you're familiar with the Snap Map on Snapchat, you'll understand why. This is seemingly another feature grabbed from another social platform and added to a Meta platform. With the new location sharing feature, anything posted on Instagram that tags a location will be visible on the Instagram map. Another interesting feature addition, notes, the short messages that currently live in the DMs, can now be added to the map and are visible for 24 hours. Thankfully, location sharing is turned off by default, so you'll need to turn it on to share your location. Also different from other platforms, when you share your location on the Instagram map, it disappears after an hour. This marks the feature more as a means to meet up with others. In the initial press release, Meta does draw attention to location sharing as a connect with friends feature. The options for location sharing include friends, which they define as followers you follow back, close friends, selected friends, or no one. And then on the parent side of this, if you're supervising a child's account, according to the press release, you will have control over location sharing. Moving on to a new feature for Reels. This one's interesting. A friends feed that doesn't feature Reels your friends have posted, but rather, quote, public content your friends have interacted with or recommendations from blends you've started, end quote. Thankfully, Meta has also included controls for that feed. So if you don't want your likes and comments to be pulled into other people's feeds, you can choose to hide those, and you can, quote, mute activity bubbles from specific people you follow, end quote. Again, depending on what you use Instagram for, I can see that being weird for a regular everyday user. But for creatives who are always looking for inspiration, I'd be interested in testing it out to see if it does put new content and new accounts into my feed. And the third new feature, the one I'm most excited about, the ability to repost Reels and posts. Rather than using a third-party app or reposting in a roundabout way, the new feature allows users to repost public Reels and feed posts to their friends and followers, automatically giving the credit to the original creator. That last piece wasn't ever easy to do. Sure, you could tag them in your comment or on the actual photo, but because it wasn't an app-supported practice, it never really felt like something you were supposed to do on Instagram. As a creator, that is frustrating because reposting can be a great way to engage your audience in conversation and highlight other work from others like you would do on Facebook or X. As always, when you repost, definitely recommend adding a note to your take on it, adding in your own comment if you can, just to give some context into why you're reposting the video or post. To learn more about how to use the new features and see some of them in action, check out the links in our notes for this episode. Coming in at number 1 this week, a great report from KFF that is super helpful for updating stats and presentations. Their annual Medicare Advantage Enrollment Update and Key Trends report. Fun fact, our content team has been tracking this report for almost 10 years. And it's been super exciting to watch the growth in Medicare Advantage from a time where penetration was just over 30%, watching that grow to surpass half of Medicare enrollment, until now when more than half of the Medicare-eligible individuals in the United States are enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan. 54% of Medicare-eligible individuals are enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans in 2025. And that is up from 53% in 2024. Number-wise, that's 34 million individuals enrolled in MA plans this year, up from 33 million in 2024. Of those 34 million people enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans, 17% are enrolled in employer or union-sponsored group plans. 21% are in special needs plans. And then 62% are in individual general enrollment plans. Drilling down even further into that special needs plan segment, this is a segment that represented a large portion of growth in Medicare Advantage enrollment for the 2025 year. We mentioned that the SNP market share accounted for 21% of overall enrollment. That means that 1 in every 5 Medicare Advantage enrollees is enrolled in a special needs plan. Also notable, 48% of the total increase in Medicare Advantage enrollment came from special needs plan enrollments. So let's get into the specifics of the SNP enrollment data. The numbers put enrollment at just over 7 million individuals in 2025. The majority of that enrollment is dual-eligible special needs plans. 6 million individuals are enrolled in D-SNPs, making up 83% of the special needs plan cohort. Over 1 million individuals are enrolled in chronic condition special needs plans, making up 16% of the overall special needs plan enrollment block. That's up from a 10% share of SNP enrollments in 2024, or 670,000 individuals. In fact, enrollment in C-SNPs was up over 70% from 2024 to 2025. Growth in the D-SNP space was up about 3%, while iSNP enrollment held steady at 0% growth. The last thing that I will draw out here, a current snapshot of enrollment by parent organizations in the Medicare Advantage space. A lot of these have multiple carrier lines under their wider parent company umbrellas. Kaiser Foundation Health Plans has a 6% MA market share with 2 million enrollments. Elevance Health holds a slightly larger share at 7% with 2.2 million individuals enrolled. CVS Health has 12% of the MA market with 4.1 million enrollments. Humana holds 17% of the market with 5.7 million enrollments. And then United Health Group has the largest market share at 29% with just under 10 million individuals enrolled. All other organizations make up the other roughly 30% of Medicare Advantage enrollments with 10.3 million individuals enrolled. There are a lot of other great stats in this report. The wonderful thing about KFF reports is that they use numbers from CMS, and they do a great job of explaining where the numbers come from and their methodology. Also, you can download the charts in that report, which is super helpful if you're like me and not a graphic designer. We will have the link to that report in the episode notes, as well as everything else we mentioned here today. So head on over there and check out the episode notes. That's all we've got for this week's Friday 5. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there. And we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script editing and fact check by Tina Lamoureux. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Follow along with our show wherever you like to listen.